Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Okay, so I don't know about anybody else. I looked at the range chart last night. I went through both charts, and this range chart worked beautifully yesterday. So I've decided to get it back down here instead of my other 2000 tick chart. It just worked beautifully. I think that the 12 range bar is better than the 10. That 12 it averages out at about ATR of 3, which is kind of where it spends most of its time now. But there was just some absolutely great trades up here. Triple test, maybe a lower high there, push up, just couldn't get up. We had a triple test followed by a lower high off the bottom. Second entry short, failure, worked beautifully. Same again. Second entry long, failure, same again, worked beautifully. Another one off the bottom, second entry short there, worked beautifully, plus a higher low, worked beautifully. Same again. I mean, look at that, just working down beautifully, one bar at a time. And even if you'd have taken that bar this morning or last night, it still didn't come back and get you. So it's really been working well. It's not great every day, but sometimes it'll just stand out as really clean. The 10 bar, that can be a bit finicky, but I'm just trying around with it at the moment. So that ATR on here is about 5, so that's a bit too much for me. So I'm just trading one contract at the moment, but it's just trading beautifully. Now look at this. On this chart, you may say that's a triple test. I suppose it is, to be fair. Well, it's more like a quadruple test. It's just hard to know what's going on, but look how much cleaner this was. It just worked nice, didn't it? That last one just ticked above that liquidity and then come down and just look how it moves. If you can get into these triple tests, if you get a lovely triple test and I go for 3 points, my gut feeling is, my experience is, you can always double your normal profit. Now I go for 2 points, sorry, 3 points. So if I double that to 6, it'd have to push through. I mean, literally, as soon as it started, that third bar bum in it. So they're really lucrative, those triple tests. So when you get them, they're definitely worth taking, because they just work so well. But this is just working nice at the moment. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this today. But at the moment, that ATR is a bit high, so I'm just trading one contract. I'm just trying to do things sensible. I did one trade yesterday, got out early. Luckily, it hit my profit, but I was in a tick late, so it wouldn't have done so. I realised it was a bit finicky, so I decided to... but I don't think I've seen a range day that clean in... I can't remember when. It just fitted perfectly right the way along. You know, most range days we get nowadays, every time it kind of hits the top, but, you know, it fitted in such a small area that, I mean, literally every top there, every top fitted in that area there. Which was, you know, really, really good. Obviously, these ones, the slightly higher ones, that one and then that one would have been the better ones to take them off, but it just worked so nice, that did. It's not often you see a range day like that. I mean, even the 2000 tick chart was just as good. There was no difference, really. But there you go. So we had some news earlier, 1:30. That's done and dusted, so we got nothing else. So we'll see how we get on today. So Exponential, how you doing, bud? Tony, how you doing? Jan, how you doing? TB, how you doing, bud? No Karina yet. She's usually first. I think might have upset her yesterday. Oh well. I don't know. Karina just seemed to be in a bit of a mood yesterday. She was just going on and on and on about the what's-its, and then someone mentioned time of the month and I mentioned something and I think she got a bit offended. I didn't mean to offend her, but I was just joking. But I don't know, she just seemed to go on yesterday about prop firms, on and on and on. So I don't know whether she was just having a bad day. We all get them, but I hope she comes back. She may have disappeared, I don't know. Or she might just be in the background. But I like Karina, she's nice. But there we go. So let's see how we get on today. Yeah, Taylor took a triple test off one of these. Was that today? Yes, that was yesterday, my mistake. So Thomas Wade has got that, which actually doesn't fit too bad. Yeah, it fits all right there. There was a triple test. You may have had a go at that. I think it was a relatively small bar. I actually think Mac would more than likely mark that if he's got it. But you can see we got one leg up, then a second leg up. It is a little bit choppy. But what I like about it, you've got a higher low there, which is kind of triggered, and then this comes down, and it does. Nothing closes above that line, so I think probably safe to take that. Trouble is, it's close to the start of market, but size-wise, you're risking about 2 3/4 points there, which, consider what the ATR is, it's relatively small, that. It did look much better there, I've got to say. Mind you, it probably doesn't look much different. The thing is, with the range bar chart, you don't really get as many wicks, because whereas these bars, the standard 2 can close right in the centre of the bar and jump over. It doesn't work that way with the range bar. The only wicks you get, it either closes on its high or closes on its low. It doesn't, you know, we don't really get dojis as such. We get like a doji where it closes, it opens, you know, at its high and then closes on its very high, but we don't get, you know, dojis like this. And sometimes that makes the chart look a little less cluttered. So I just got a ping on my phone. Bear me a second. Okay, so we've had 3 bounces here now. So there looks to be a bit of an overshoot there. On here, there's a higher low, which I don't think's a bad trade, actually. I'm just staying out of this just at the moment. See if we get a failure.
Order submitted.
So second entry short is triggered. Let's see how this closes. Oh, it's going to get me, is it?
Order submitted.
Order filled.
Okay. So there is a failure there. So let's see if this gets up. Hopefully it will. Bit of an overshoot and a bounce off the bottom. So hopefully that'll work. I think it probably will. Just stumbling a little bit, which is making me a bit anxious. I mean, the safest place would be down there, but we'll see anyway. Hopefully it pushes up. I'm just going to bring this to break even, +1, just in case.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Okay, nice failure there. It did work in the end, so everything's closed. So that's a nice start to the day. Everything triggered like it should. Yes, beautiful. Okay, so fail second entry short. Let me just drop that down. I might have to message Karina and apologise. I think I upset her a bit. We're only messing around. Someone mentioned time of the month and then I mentioned it and I think she got a bit offended. But anybody else, but she went on and on and on for ages about prop firms saying don't be naive, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. It's unlike Karina. She's usually very quiet and placid, but she seemed to be a bit frustrated yesterday. I don't quite know why. Perhaps, mind you, when are women not frustrated by men? I suppose it comes with the territory, doesn't it? We tend to do their heads in a little bit, I suppose, don't they? So I like that. Now, I wouldn't have normally taken that, even though it's an overshoot. I wouldn't take it just because the fact it's an overshoot. I took it because it's the third bounce. It's a triple test off there. That bar held, the higher low held, and then I took the failure, second entry short, which failed and worked. Ordinarily, I wouldn't take that. It was only because it bounced off the bottom. Yeah, Karina having to deal with us. Yeah, I know. She's the only female here, so she's got her work cut out. But I'll message her later. I don't know if I upset her or not, but we'll see anyway. So that was a failed second entry short. I did think about messaging her last night, but I thought I'd see what she says. So failed second entry short. Plus 3 points. Okay. Happy days. At least we're in early. That's the first trade I've taken for a while, actually. I think some other people took trades. Just looked at Thomas. Someone said would consider a higher low. Yeah, hoping for a higher low as well. Fail second entry short would be nicer. That's exactly what I got on this range bar. We didn't get one here. So the range bar worked nice. You can clear there was second entry short, which triggered and moved straight up. But we didn't get it on here. But we did get a bullish bar off the bottom. We just didn't get a higher low. You took the short at the bottom off the triple test. You took a short. Oh, just off the bottom. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see no issues with that. Yeah, sorry. I see no issues with that. I can't see why Matt wouldn't mark that. I've got this as a channel. It's fitting lovely, 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 and an overshoot. So the overshoot, you'd expect a bigger correction, which would mean upwards. Clearly a triple test, and we've broke any liquidity there, and then it finishes. I mean, it doesn't finish on its high. It's not far off, but it does finish in the top third. But then you've got another bullish bar there, so I think you're safe to go long there. It's not my strong point off the bottoms, but in that circumstances, I was okay. Do you have end of day on? Yes, I do, bud. Let me just check. I'm pretty sure I do. Yes, I have. Now, ordinarily, I sometimes I'll have a second chart, but the range chart worked that nice yesterday. I had to get it back again today. Yours match mine, dear. Good on you. Yeah, unfortunately, there wasn't really anything back there apart from that. There wasn't a higher low, but it certainly worked. Now, we don't know it's going to come down. That to me looks like a channel. That's an overshoot, and we know if it is an overshoot. And I can't see we got a touch. Perfect. Strong drop down and overshoot. So normally after an overshoot, we will make a correction. But it's a triple test, no argument. I can't see why Matt wouldn't mark that in the slightest. If you go a tick above it, there's 5 points comfortably to the top, so more than any of us go for there. So let me just draw this here. So our overnight highs and lows, I'm going to put that there like that. So Sheva or Shiva, how you doing, bud? I haven't got that right. Sheva, let's go for Sheva. Lance, the channel fits better from the top. Let's have a look. It actually fits better from the top on the range bar, so you may be right. Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. I still think that's okay to take just back to the EMA. That's all I'd be concerned with. I wouldn't be necessarily saying it was going to reverse, but you'd expect that to get back to the EMA. Now on here, it's definitely shown as an overshoot, so it's hard to say really. Let's let me just look at what if Dan's got anything up there. Okay, so the last one Dan had, he had that, which I suppose is fair enough. Then we got a break, 2 pushes down to a new low. Then we come back and go again. So now we've done that. See, I think that's right. But now we've done this, 2 pushes through and low, we've come back, we've made a lower high and we've pushed down again. I think then it's probably safe to do that. And hey presto, it does fit. Now whether it'll, I mean, these last 2 drops here cleaned out any liquidity here. There may have been a bit down here or here, so maybe that was cleaning that out. But generally at the moment, the overall is kind of bullish with the exception of the odd day here or there. So who knows, but that worked okay. Now, the trouble is, this is one of those things. There wasn't an offer there, but there was. So at some point, you've just got to say, look, I'll go for it, which is why I've decided to drop the contract size down to 1. I mean, the ATR's high anyway. I did want to get back to 2, but when the ATR's around 2.5, I think that's okay. It's nearly double that now, so get the Apex request for info on your strategy. Not me. Did you get one, bud? Yeah, I know Karina was talking a lot about that yesterday. Now, I shown you that little post that I found on Facebook with Apex, with them saying we'll pass your evaluation for. I think a lot of people are taking that up, so it doesn't surprise me that a company like Apex are trying to mitigate that. They're trying to stop it. Yeah, if you ask once, that's fine. If you've got to do it every time you get paid, that's when I'd say enough's enough. I've proved who I am. I've done it once. I ain't doing it again. And that's where I'll start to think about moving somewhere else. Now, with that said, I got 1 account for Apex and I've got 5 accounts for Tradeify. So I'd like 5 with everything because I don't really... or I'd like to not keep all my eggs in one basket. I'd like to just spread them around. I think it's a sensible thing to do. But, I understand companies. If people are trading their accounts for them, you can't really do it. And Apex, like any company, is always looking to save money. It's a part of business. It's a fact. All companies look for ways to save money and maximize profit. There are people that work for the company just to save money. They have buyers, which, obviously people who buy certain things, who make deals with suppliers and that. It's about saving. That's what business is about. It's about saving money and maximize profits. Things have changed. It's all about shareholders now. That's what it's all about. So companies are bound to be looking for ways to save money. Now, if you're following the rules and you play the game, they pay you. If you break the rules, they'll deny you. Now, they could deny you and said, you took a massive gamble, you move your stop, you're willing to blow the account. We'll give you 3 strikes and you're out. They could do something like that, but they say, trade for another 8 days and we'll pay you. So they still do that. So if you follow the rules, you've got no issues. Now, another thing they're obviously doing is they want to find out if people are trading their own accounts. There's no other reason to ask somebody, we want to see what trades you take. We want to see you push the button. I don't understand why they haven't done that before, especially now, with the days of all these companies now saying they'll trade for you. They don't want that. And it's not the right way to do it, to be honest with you. So I'll do it once and then I'll say no. I haven't been asked. Now, whether they're aware of me as a streamer or not, I'm guessing they probably are. You want to know who's out there and who's talking about you, and are they talking good stuff about you or are they talking shit about you? If they're talking shit about you, I don't think they'll take kindly to it. You aren't using Apex's money, you are using losing trade. Yeah. I mean, look, this is a business of the losers lose the money, the winners make the money. It's how the world works. It's exactly the same in all the financial markets. Putting prop firms aside, You're an experienced trader. You trade your own money in the financial markets. Experienced money takes it off you. When you get experienced, you turn into one of the takers and someone else steps into the givers. It's the law of the jungle, isn't it? And it's part of it. When I started trading, I lost a ton of money to people who made it. Now I'm starting to make some of that money. And it's kind of a cycle with trading paper account. No, it's not real. It's not real. But I get paid exactly the same as it is real. So when I say I'm the people who are losing the money I'm getting it, I don't mean as in the real financial markets. In your own real live account, you lose money, other traders make it. It's the same really with prop firms. You lose your money to the prop firm as an inexperienced trader, and then you get it back when you get more experience. So it's exactly the same principle, really. You know, the less experienced guys pay the money, the more experienced guys take the money, whether it comes from a prop firm. But yes, in all intents and purposes, this account is a real account to me because I'm making real money because I'll get paid at the end of the month. So, you know, although technically, yes, it's a sim account, but you have to treat it like it's real money because it is. You still get paid it by the prop firm. So unfortunately, you know, when Mac will say, don't be a donator. When you're new to trading, where do you think the money comes from? The money comes from people inexperienced donating. We all got to go through that process. We've all got to go through the process of losing it. Because if there was no one losing money, no one would be able to make money. So it's that kind of unfortunate cycle. Every point in the yes is $50 both ways. Yeah. There's always someone... You know, if you win money, it comes from someone who's lost it, whether it comes from a prop firm or, you know, or not. They're paying me out of profits they're making from, you know, losses in trade. Unfortunately, it sounds like a cruel world because it's just the way it is. But then you like to think then the people who've lost the money get to a stage where they get much better and they take it back. I've had more than my fair share from Apex. I've had more than I've paid them. That wasn't always the case. Only up until recently. Is there something like that? Maybe. Not sure at the moment. Yeah, I suppose. What I will say is, if you, let's say, for instance, you get paid $10,000 this month from Apex. And you put that $10,000 into your own live account, it's money that you've made from Apex that you're risking, and it's the same risk as you would be here if you lose $100 on your PA account and you lose $100 in your live own account. You still lose the same money, you still risk the same money, but it quite likely feels a bit different because it kind of is your own money. But you know, there's a process, isn't there? You start as a complete beginner on a sim and you kind of learn the way things work. Then you move on to an evaluation to start getting to feel a little bit of exposure, what it feels like having some skin in the game. And then the next level is you move up to prop firms. And you make a bit, you lose a bit, you make a bit. Then you start to make it. Then when you feel confident in your skills and ability, and you've made enough money for long enough to have that self-belief that this has not been luck now. I've made consistent money every month for the last year. I can control my emotions. That's the time then to start to incorporate your own account. When you can control things enough, when you've had enough exposure to the markets and you've got enough self-control, that's the time to, in my opinion, to start to move on to adding additional funds, i.e. your own private account. You know, I suggest when you do move to your own private account, you lower the risk that you were risking, you know, on your prop firm. I suppose most of us risk more on a prop firm than we normally do. But, you know, I would say when you get your first account, keep your risk at something like 2%, where you're not really going to do yourself enough damage. If you want to see how you're really doing compared to your payouts, to your paper losses history, yeah. I mean, it's a... Trading's a minefield. It doesn't come overnight, but what I will say is over the last few years, I didn't really make anything the first year. The second year, I made $8,000. The third year, which was last year, I made $22,000. This year, I'm up to $33,000, and we're not even halfway through the year. Now, I'm guessing for the first 3 months of the year, I managed to hold my accounts pretty well. But for the last 2 months, so I'd say 5,000 of that is quite likely going to be expenses. The last couple of months have been the most. Now, obviously, I held accounts for quite a while. So I'd say if you deduct, let's say for argument's sake, $6,000 off that, that takes my profits to say $27,000. Now, we're only just into June. Let's say by the end of June, that equates to $30,000. If the second half of the year goes the same, that's a $60,000 profit for working maximum 4 hours a day. Now, in the UK, that's about 40, 45, 47,000. Average wage in the UK is about 35. So for working 4 hours, it's easy money, really. Now, I'll have made roughly by the end of this year 3 times what I earned last year. Last year, I made 3 times what I earned the previous year. So if I can get to 60, 70,000 this year, and I can even double it next year, now you're talking getting into serious money. You earn £100,000 in the UK, you're in the top 2%. And if you're doing that, working 4 hours a day, and you're working for yourself, you don't have to ever worry about, taking time off sick. You don't have to worry about getting sacked. You don't have to worry about getting made redundant. You're not working your arse off for stupid hours for somebody else. Trading takes time. And at least if every year you're at least doubling your money or at least making progress, then I think you're doing okay. You're on YouTube. I've hundreds of thousands in payouts. Would be broke. Yeah, Max said long time ago in a lesson that you only need around about 2,000 to trade 1 contract. That's about 8 tick rules to work. Yeah, trouble is at the moment, if you look at that ATR 4, so if you took, let's pick a bar here. If you shorted that bar, let's be realistic, you're risking $475. So if you've got $2,000 in your account and you happen to lose that trade, you've lost 25% of it. In my opinion, that's way too much. That's the trouble. These bars can go day to day. Now, if you're risking, let me have a look. Okay, that's risking 2 contracts. Sorry, let's backtrack that. Let's say you risk 1 contract. Let's say you're losing $235. You've still lost about 11 or 12%. So I think that's a bit much. Yeah, fine. Now, I'm assuming when you mention that, you may talk about micros. I think Mac actually talks about points. Now, you forget Mac probably loses very little trades. So the way he trades, yeah, you can probably get going with that. But it depends how long you take. Is Mac on about doing that after, 3 or 4 years or 5 or 6 years? It's a tough one, really. It's hard to say, really, the perfect amount. But my experience is the majority of traders that I've come across tend to talk about between 1 and 3%, depending on how you trade. Now, if you're risking 1 point to make 5 points, you're going to lose a lot more trades. So maybe you need to stick to the lower end of that risk. If you go in for 1-to-1, you're going to lose less trades. So, I've heard of traders losing 4 or 5 trades in a row. Now, if you're risking 5% of your account, you could lose 20% before you even win a trade. So it's a tough one, really. It's tough. He doesn't agree with leaving that much money in the CME. Oh, no. If you've got $10,000 and you only want to put $2,000 in there, if $2,000 is your whole amount, then that's fine. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. If you've got 20,000 in the bank and you say, I'll use 2,000 to start and I'll risk 5, that's fine because you've got the backup. Once 3% own your account per trade, you need a ton of it. Yes, you do. So I had a chat with Daniel about this, and he thinks it's okay to risk 5%. So it depends whether you know, I mean, it depends whether you want to try and grow a bit quicker and be a little bit more, take a little bit more risk. You know, it's a tough one, really. How exactly the best way of doing it. And obviously it depends how experienced you are. If you're still struggling with losses, what I've found is if you're struggling with losses, a lot of the time, one loss will lead to two. So if you're risking, you know, 5% of your account and you lose 2 trades in a row, you've lost 10% of your account. Now, you'll get to a point where your brain will start to go, I don't like how this feels. And you start to stress and panic a bit. So I think depending on how much self-control you've got of taking losses should dictate how much risk you're willing to risk. If you're risking one contract and you're stressing and panicking every time you take a trade, I think you need to lower it and kind of find a place where you're comfy. But I think it depends. I think it's a lot depends on the type of person you are and how well you handle losses. I still struggle with losses. It's taken me a little bit longer to get used to losses than most, I think. So, yeah, it's a tough one. If you aren't a winning trader, you're risking less per account. It's going to help. Bleed out slower. Yeah. Losses still hurt me too. Yeah, I think, you know, first time I ever learned to trade 4.5 years ago with a guy called Andrew Lockwood. He'd been a trader for 35 years. He started in the London Stock Exchange in the pits during the 80s, and then he moved on early 2000s to the computers, and he's been trading his own cash for 23 years. And he said to me, you will not find any trader anywhere in the world that doesn't have emotions. They'll be better at controlling it, but there's not such thing as complete emotionless trading. It doesn't exist. You're a human being. You know, it's like saying find a human being without DNA. Every single person's got one. How they handle it and their mentality when they take losses. If you've got enough self-belief in yourself, you'll know losses won't affect you long term. And once, you know, for me, it's about having enough exposure for a long enough period of time just to get used to it. And you'll get to a point where you'll go, I know I can do it. I've done it many times. I've not got an issue with it. I know losses won't affect me. So we got 2 legs down here. We got 2 legs up. Lower high from here, I don't think will be a bad option. But we've had a break. 2 pushes to a new low, so we'll have to wait and see. That type of trade often works. Yeah, it's a doji. I'm just going to sit tight anyway. But the way that looks, goes like that and then goes up sharp, gives us a bearish bar, especially after something like this. I'm just not sure whether we've had a break. 2 pushes to a new low. So I'm just going to sit tight here. Would you say you have more discipline handling losses using your own capital, or is it revenge trade still? To be honest with you, Joe, I haven't used my own capital since I started. I would have suggested if you take $10,000 from Apex for payment and you put it all in your bank, it's there in your bank. If you leave it in your account and trade it, it's still your money. You know it's your money. So I don't think if you take a payment from Apex and you put some of it in your live account, trade it, copy trade it, I don't think there'll be much difference. As long as you're making regular money from Apex, you know, if you've got money in the bank, you don't have anything. I mean, if you're on the breadline every time you do an evaluation, you slap it on the credit card and you realise you're waiting for payments to clear your credit card and you're panicking. If you're financially comfortable, see, I've got a bit of savings. I've got about £16,000 in the bank. It's just savings. So I don't have to worry too much. But I like to keep it there, and I don't like when it dips below. I also have a pension as well, where I've got some money in a pension, so I know I could dip into that if I want to, so I don't worry about money so much. Now, those accounts I had that I blew 5 of them, I've had those accounts for probably 4 to 6 months. And I've made money every month out of them. And I just had a bad week. It got to me and I risked them and it backfired and bit me. That's the first time I've done that this year. So I put that down to still a bit of lack of experience, a bit of naivety, bit of frustration, a bad month. It happens sometimes. But the fact is, it used to happen every month. Now it doesn't. So I could say, okay, I've got plenty of money to live on. I don't have to worry about it. But I like to keep my savings, which is why I've decided just to work just weekends. That will get an extra £1,200-1,500 in a month. Just to keep my savings where they are. I don't want to rely on my savings. And not only that, when you spend the last year or so working full time from your house, I'm kind of looking forward to getting out because I spend such a lot of time at home. So I think it'd be good just to get out and, mix with the population out there as opposed to sort of spend, I know I have you guys to spend my time with, but I'm basically at home on my own most of the time. If you would revenge trade that money. I honestly don't know is the answer, mate, which is why until I feel like I'm in full control, I'm not going to trade my own money. I'm just going to kind of sit tight. Yeah. When I get to this now, what I'll say is if you earn money every month for 12 months, I think you can give yourself a pat on the back because you're not going to do that if you don't know what you're doing. Now, I'd still say you're still quite inexperienced. It takes time. That trade did work nice, actually. Look at it. I just didn't like the doji. But I would say if you've made money every month for 12 months and you're not blowing massive amounts of accounts, I think when it's time, you'll know. When it's time, when you feel in control and thinking, okay, now I've got $5,000 stuck in the bank here, rather than leave it in there earning me nothing, I'll put it into my account. When you get to that stage where you think, I've been doing this long enough now, I've made money every month, I'm not revenge trading, I'm not panicking, that's the time to do it. And I think you'll find your own way. Testing right off the measured move, yeah. Second entry was a nice penguin style trade, 2 legs up, yeah, I agree. There is a certain looking move that I see a lot that works, and that's one of them. Tight channel. It's a very, very broad 2 legs. The trouble is, when you have 2 legs like that, it's very easy to think we're coming down when actually what it is a channel. When you get 2 legs like that, now that's very different. That to me is more like 2 moves. I wouldn't put that down as a channel. It's too broad. That when they're close together, and that there was a good amount of definition between those 2 moves. I just didn't like the doji. I didn't know whether it was going to push up a bit more for maybe slightly higher measure, more of a measured move. It didn't quite hit a measured move. Actually, it wasn't. Well, actually, it did. I didn't notice that. And to be fair, it looked okay. Actually, it looked nice here. Do you know why I didn't take it? Because I'm quite happy to talk at the moment because I'm up. I've took a trade, $150 per account. So I kind of like the feeling of being up. It was a trade that worked, did what it was supposed to. So, but yeah, if you look at that, it was a nice measured move. Bar wasn't fantastic, but on this, the bar was nice. Let's have a look. That on the range was actually a perfect measured move. Let's have a look. Right to the nearest. Why can't I move that? There we go. Yeah, we got a really nice measured move. And not only that, we're testing the underside about that. So my only slight concern is it started to go a bit sideways, but it worked in the end. But if that bar was a bit more bearish, that would be a really solid entry. As I say, I don't think it's a bad entry. Mac could say it probably finishes in the lower third. Maybe it does. But it did work. Now, is this a channel or is it not? I don't know. We've got a channel here. It may just be a break. 2 pushes to a new low. and this may be working up. But this doesn't look like a channel to me. It's either a break, 2 attempts to push higher, and then a new low. And I think that may be the case. So at the moment, it's just a little bit choppy. My guess is touch, touch, touch. Fits nice at the bottom. Probably a channel, in which case I think we'll find a way down to these lows. Yeah. I mean, I would say don't put your own money into your account till you're confident you can protect it. If you still take... Now, when I get my bunch of accounts up to 2,500, I get very protective over them. But I still, quite often, get a new PA account and take a risk trying to boost it to $700 or $800 on the first day. Then it's just what I seem to do. Now, I am doing it less because it's starting to frustrate me. It's a bad habit to get into, but once I get it to a certain level, I go into protection mode then. But until I have that full self-control, now bearing in mind, they say trading isn't for everyone. I think if you work at it enough, you'll get there. I just think it's a matter of time. Some people might have a lot of self-control. Other people might need to do something enough times to start to go, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to do it the right way. And as long as I'm making progress with that and doing it less, I'm okay. But when I stop doing that and I turn up for 3 hours, 4 hours, do my job, switch off and go home and don't think about it or want to come back to it, I won't touch my own account. Once that happens, when I get to that level, that's when I'll start. When I'm making good money, makes sense to turn money into money. So if I've got excess money, you know, sat in the bank doing nothing, and I don't have any issues with, you know, revenge trading or panicking, that's the time I'll start to add to it. I'd have fall in a pit of despair until I follow strict rules. Yeah. Hey, Speedy, how you doing? Yeah. I tell you what, Kenny, the last year, I'd say maybe 10 months, certainly this year, I've been in a good place mentally. But I went through a time where I felt depressed all the time. Twice. Now, I've been with my wife for 30 years and she's seen me cry 4 times. Once a little bit when my mum passed away, once when my daughter was born, and twice after losing 5 accounts plus. And I'm not really a crier. I'm usually, you know, I'm kind of a man's man. I tend to just feel it. You know, some people can do it. I get embarrassed. But those couple of times I just burst into tears. I felt low. And I went through a phase where my wife said, I hated you coming down because I didn't know whether you were going to be in a mood or quiet. And she come down and look at me as if to say, did it go okay? So it was affecting my mood and I was miserable and grumpy a lot of the time. I'm okay now. So that side of it's gone. But I did get to the stage where I felt depressed and low and miserable all the time. I don't now. So I'm making progress. Now, Max says this takes years to master. And rightly so. We know why. And any job where you can earn this amount of money is never going to be easy. It just seems easier than it is because you're thinking the market goes up and down and all you got to do is buy and sell. How hard can it be? It's not bloody rocket science, and it's not. But you do have to learn the language of the markets, and that, like any language, takes time. You know, we can all spend 3 or 4 weeks learning Spanish and then ask to be booked into a hotel and ask for a pint of beer, but you can't have a fluent conversation. You know, so it does take time. I saw me cry for the first time during that episode. So I hit back to, yeah. It's hard. It's emotionally hard and draining. And that's why I think it's got a high failure rate. Not because people aren't capable of learning it, because people underestimate how much it affects you. How much of an emotional drain is. Some people will have a go at it for a year, blow a bunch of accounts. They'll feel a bit low and a bit depressed and they'll go, can't do it, and walk away. And that's okay. But if you're stubborn like me and you won't give up and you'll die trying, you'll come back. And every time something like that happens, any time where you go through some kind of emotional trauma, and it is an emotional trauma, you come back stronger. You know, remember the first time you get dumped as a kid and you're broken. Your girlfriend dumps you and you think the world's coming to an end. And over time, you do toughen up emotionally. You know, I blew 5 accounts the other day. After an hour, I was fine. I felt fine. I felt positive. I processed it. I'd have felt gutted for weeks, and I'd have gone through a stage of 2 or 3 months of blowing account after account. But you do toughen up emotionally. You get used to it. It just takes time. It's very small steps. But I've been doing this long enough to know now that it is getting better for me. So I do understand it is a process, and it's a process that takes time, and you've got to kind of roll with it. But it's a process that I no longer feel miserable. I no longer feel down and depressed. I can tell now I'm making progress, and I can tell from this year because I've made good money. Last year, made 3 times what I made last year, and you know, and the year before. So I'm making progress. So your brain after a while starts to realise actually this is working. And I suppose it's like, you know, when my daughter was born, I went for a period of having really bad anxiety. And after, I think in most cases, after you've had anxiety and a bunch of panic attacks, after a while your brain goes, well, nothing really happens. Doesn't kill me. And after a while, I think you just accept it, the fact that, okay, you know, stress, panic, it's not really going to do me any harm. And it kind of filters away. You're closing on a strategy you like to consistently take. I know the price action, but you have found your personal trades. I'm looking still to perfect mine. Yeah, I think, you know what? I still lose trades. I go through phases of losing trades. But I think every time you lose a trade, you tweak something, even very slightly. I suppose if you think your brain is a mass of tiny little cogs, and all of a sudden, if one cog slips out of place, you open it up, you look at it, you process it, and you slip it back. And like everything, you know, it's like going to the gym and, you know, building muscle. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, a lot of discipline. But surely, slowly but surely, you start to put that little bit of muscle on, a little bit of muscle, a little bit of muscle. But it's a process that you have to go through to get that. But, you know, if I sit back and think, sometimes I'll sit and think about the things I used to do and the way I used to feel, and I'm so far away from that person. That makes me feel good. That makes me realise I am getting this. But, you know, 4.5 years, I'm still a relatively inexperienced trader, and I'm still susceptible to hiccups from time to time. You know, but you get better and you get better and you learn. Every time you lose a trade, there are certain elements about a trade that I go, and next time you see that setup, something in your brain goes, I've been here before. And then you leave it and it triggers you and would have gone against you. So you start to pick up on that. Now I'm starting to stay out of trouble. And that's half the battle, staying out of bad trades. You know, most of us know what a good trade is when we see one, although we don't see a lot. But it's staying out of certain areas that are troublesome. And often it's when price is doing that. You know, if you wait for a sort of clear air, for want of a better word. I suppose for you pilots out there, you know, I suppose you expect turbulence when it's very cloudy. But you get clear air turbulence when it's not so cloudy. So that's kind of a little bit unexpected. So it's just knowing when you're likely to get trouble. Have not updated. Did you update your Ninja Trader? No, I haven't, mate. Forgot all about it, to be honest with you. After updating, every time I draw my trend lines, my right and bottom axis highlights. Everyone also experiences this. Is this a good thing, Sean, or not? No, I don't. I don't always update for some reason. You find it annoying. I'll tell you the last annoying thing I did. You have to sign into Ninja Trader now, don't you? You didn't have to 12 months ago. As soon as you opened it, it just popped open. Do your YouTube stats indicate to have lots of pilots in the audience? I know one pilot, Jan. Akitri here was a commercial airline pilot. So the last guy who's made a comment there was a commercial. They are flying 737s, Boeing 737s. Hence, in fact, when I was mentioning about expecting turbulence in cloudy and clear air turbulence, I had him in mind. So is this 2 legs up? Are we going to tough one there? In fact, something I wanted to do as a youngster. I had some flying lessons once. I had about 4 of them once. My wife bought me a flying lesson for, I think it was my 40th. Thank you, Mr. Balls. I appreciate that. I still have my moments, mate. I still have my tough times. But overall, I'm going to be nicely profitable this year. I'm certainly going to make more money than I did in any other job I've ever had, put it that way. And I've worked less hours. In fact, I even feel cheeky describing myself as part-time. I wouldn't even consider what I do as part-time. Just feels like I'm sat in front of the computer for 3 or 4 hours chatting. Every unprofitable trader wants to be where you are. I think, mate, if you, it's taken me 4.5 years. It took me 4 years. From 4 years onwards, I've made money every month. But I did lose a bunch of accounts a couple of weeks ago. I just had a moment of weakness. I felt it was long overdue. I was a bit frustrated. Didn't have a lot of setups lately, and I blew some accounts. But accounts are building back up now, and I'm okay. So, yeah, I mean, I hadn't blown a bunch of accounts like that for 6 months, but I did feel like it was overdue. I was a bit frustrated, and you know, it happens. Yeah, you can do it. I think what I will say is it's taken way longer than I ever thought. Trading looks easy. But there's so much to it. It's an absolute minefield. But, you know, I have asked myself the question over time, am I really going to be able to do this? Because it's such slow progress. But, you know, if you just keep coming back and you're stubborn and you won't give up, it's impossible not to improve. Any job that you do every day, it's impossible not to improve at. It's a physical impossibility. And even having emotions as well. You know, I've described when I was about 13. I mentioned this before. We were a military family, so we were based in Tidworth in Wiltshire in the UK. Massive army camps, and I remember my stepdad. I got into a punch up at school. Well, let's say I got into a punch up. I got thumped at school. Some kid chased me home and gave me a bit of a thump outside my front door. And my stepdad, being military, said, "That's it. You're going to boxing classes." And I remember meeting up with a friend, and it was back when string vests were all the fashion. So I remember I had a pair of blue shorts. I worked Saturdays at a little sports shop on the barracks. And I remember with me wages, I bought a pair of boxing boots. We raided my mum's medical cabinet and got a load of bandages. We bandages all on. And I remember jogging off with a mate to boxing classes. It was an old corrugated steel army camp. There was about 10 different army camps within one big area, and I remember going a couple of times a week to boxing classes, and we you know, they'd have a big room and they'd have a ring in the middle of the room, and you just move from one obstacle to the next. You practice on a bag, you practice in front of a mirror, you do some skipping, some sit-ups, and just a bit of this. And I remember the first time I was asked to go into a ring with another lad, I remember feeling okay until I got hit, and then panic. I remember swinging like crazy, more of a girly slap, and then after about 20 seconds we got dragged apart, and that was my first experience of going into a ring. I didn't like it much. And then I remember they got other pairs and put them in the ring, and some of them who'd been training for 2 or 3 years, got into the ring, they put their arms up and they were very controlled. Now, why is that? There's 2 reasons. 1, skill, and 2, exposure to emotions. You get into a ring, you get into a punch up with someone, I guarantee you're going to have the same emotions, possibly even stronger than trading. It can be pretty scary. But the more you do it, the more you get into that ring and you box, and the more you practice and you get back into the ring and you expose yourself to those emotions. That's why professional boxers can get in. They don't lose the temper. They don't lose control. They can get hit and they still keep their hands up and they still do the job because they've done it enough times to be able to control the emotions. And it's the same with every other thing in life that triggers strong emotions. And trading is no different. But the more you expose yourself to, you can't help but get control over it and get better at it and panic less. And when you panic less, like in a ring, you don't lose your temper and you don't start slapping like a girl. You know, you pull your punches. It's exactly the same thing. But you have to expose yourself. That's kind of where you go from moving to a sim to evaluations, I think is a great option. You don't need to worry about trying to get to a PA, just to have experience what it feels like. So what's happening here? So I'm quite happy to have a chat today. I like being up. I'm nice and comfortably up today. So got 6 accounts on the go at the moment. So I'm up a nice, more or less 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm up nicely today. So I'm quite comfortable. So I don't mind not taking another trade. I do like the one and done thing, but because the ATR has been a bit high, I decided to do 1 contract, but that's okay. I don't mind. I think if you're trading this, often there's a lot more than 1. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe I should just stick to the 1 and then maybe take a few more trades, rather than go for 2 contracts and just take 1. Because I did a 2 contract trade yesterday. My risk was $500. Now I got out and made $100, but I don't like a $500 risk. That's too rich for my blood. You are risking 20%. Well, I'm risking 25% of my Traderify accounts, and I think that's a bit much. So halving that, I think, is much less risk. Much less stressful, put it that way. So, are we just in a bigger range here? It's hard to say. It's difficult. I'm about to turn 26. I started when I was 20. I barely got my first pay in April and second one last month. But you are getting more and more. I suppose. Look, I'm a lot older than you. I'm 55. So I've kind of been around the world now. I'm fortunate because I've streamed. Not that I did it for the money. I did it because I think if there's people watching me, I'm more likely to do a better job. But I've made some money for affiliates. I've been honest with you guys before. I tend to average around about $1,200. That's what it's not so much nowadays, maybe $700 or $800, but I've had some money coming in. And what I decided to do is when I started trading, I changed my job and worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday so I could trade full-time Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I fully committed. I basically gave up my job and then I just worked weekends so I could, trade full-time. So I've been fortunate that I've had that little bit of affiliate money thanks to you guys, and that is made it possible for me to commit more time. So you've been doing it 6 years. I've been doing it 4.5 years, but I've been fortunate enough to be able to put more time into that. I'm guessing you've got a job. So that's probably why it may take you a little bit longer than me, because I've been fortunate enough to be able to, commit more time. But you still have to have money coming in when you're learning to trade. That's another reason it's tough as a retail trader. Much easier for a institutional trader because they get paid. They get the best support. They get the most up-to-date information. You just suck. No, you don't, mate. you haven't had the time, I'm guessing, but I'm probably right. You haven't had the time to put into it. And we all learn at different rates. You know, it depends, you know, what you like with risk. You know, some people I'm quite a wired person. I'm very obsessive compulsive. When I learn something, I want to learn it in one night. You know, I find it hard to sleep sometimes. So I tend to pick up things quick because I get a bit obsessed with it. You know, if I want to learn something, I'll read it, I'll watch it, I'll breathe it, I'll sleep it. So yeah, am I still making wallets? Yes, occasionally, mate. Yeah, this is my kind of newish one. I made one the other day for a family. This is kind of, let's pull that out. This is kind of my newish one. There, you see that? It's got, I put a couple on the back there, a couple of little pockets on the back. So yeah. I find it really relaxing. Now, I don't admit I like stitching, but it is kind of relaxing. And I often do it about 2 o'clock in the morning. I just find it... So yeah, I tend to probably do one a week or one every other week or something like that. I'm trying to branch out. I'm looking for a pattern or something to make my wife. She wants a tote bag, so I want to make something a little bit more. But it's good fun. There's nothing like the smell of leather, I've got to say, and cutting something out, gluing it together, you know, sanding all the edges, burnishing them so they shine, and having something that's functional. It's quite good fun. So let's have a look here. So we went back up to VWAP here and then dropped. So I'm wondering, is there kind of some kind of bigger channel there? Let me have a look. Do you know what? I have a feeling. Let's have a look. I'm heading out now. Nice one. Thanks, mate. Yeah, you take it easy, bud. You take it easy. Maybe there is a spike in a channel there. Now that actually looks okay, I think. So maybe this is a break 2 legs up and this is going to push down. It's hard to say. Let me have a look. Some other channels. Okay. What time is it? Oh. Okay. Right. So Thomas Wade has got that. No, tell a lie. He's got that a break. My gut feeling now with this going down is it may be there. So it may fit there. It's hard to say, really. There's no... I mean, if you go from there to that next swing, yeah, we didn't reach the top, but we reached the EMA, so maybe that is kind of in fact. I'm going to get rid of this. No, I don't think we need that at the moment. That looks like a correction. Measured move. You're on about something like that, are you? I mean, we could get something like that. That's possible. So we got a nice little correction there, and that came down, and we tried 1, 2, 3 attempts to, well, yeah, I mean, that may be that, because we didn't get very low here, and we've had a couple of attempts, well, 3 attempts, and it's pushed up, but now we're down again, so there is a possibility that this may come down and make a new low. Not super clear, is it? Let me have a look at that 10,000 tick chart. Yeah, I mean, there's the 10,000 tick chart there. So does that fit? Yeah, it doesn't look terrible, does it? 2 legs up with a break, and we didn't quite get a new low, but if you squeeze that together, that couple of legs up and a big drop down. So yeah, maybe there is a slightly bigger channel. It's hard to say. Trouble is, there is a lot of grey area in trading. It's not open and shut. There's a lot of grey area. So maybe we got anything down here? Yeah, maybe 2 attempts to push high, and this is going to drop. That, I'm guessing, would be kind of a nice type of a penguin trade. So let's call that like that. A leg and a leg up, a leg and a leg. See where this goes. So maybe a channel with a break and a new high. There is a lower high there which triggered and stopped out. As I say, we're not quite... Oh, now we're at the measured move. Let me just put that to there. Now that measured move may come from there. In which case, let's have a look. Okay, channel break, new high. So if we can get a lower high, I think a failure might be a better option, but that does look like 2 attempts to go higher. So we need that to... Oh, crikey, well, there we go. That's shut. So there is kind of like a little double top there. Let's see if we can get a lower high here. Definitely finding some support up there for sure. Maybe a triple test. Disco, how you doing, pal? See what happens here. Someone just said, be prepared for these tariff news spikes all day. Okay, so you may argue that's a lower high. It's not far off on there. There's definitely going to be, there's definitely going to be stops there and there, and we just had a quick shove down there, taking out any liquidity that was there. So I think this is going to push down and quite strongly now. We've bounced off here, so my gut feeling is this is quite likely going down, so we may not even get a pullback of any sorts. That's 2 pushes up. There's no way that's a channel of any sort, so my gut feeling is this is going to come down. So if we can get a second entry short, bit of a push up, maybe a bit of rejection off this midline here. Sorry, midline, the open rather. So that's 2 clear attempts to push up and a strong move down. So let's see if we can get a second entry short here. Now, there's always a possibility if we have this channel, we've had a break and a new low or attempted a new low, and this may do something else. Flipping out again, a big spike again. Yeah, quite. Someone mentioned about tariffs, and I don't like it when it does this. Yeah, I mean, I'm up nicely today, so technically my work is done today, so I'm not in a rush to trade. I don't like all this fieriness. Look at this. I mean, that's taken off. Got to be some news somewhere. Trouble is, I know someone suggested put some news on a little window in your thing, but the trouble is, when it comes out as a retail trader, you're the last to know. You know, I'm guessing institutional traders are going to be a lot more prepared for news spikes than we are. So unfortunately, by the time you see red on the what's-it, the move's already happened. So it wouldn't necessarily help you. All I'd say is if we are getting very spiky, it might be a good idea to finish early or move on to a sim or drink some scotch or something. You're out, yeah. I mean, I'm not bothered about taking another trade today. If I'm up one, it's not often I take another one anyway. I kind of like the one and done. There is 2 legs up there, but my gut feeling this was going to come down as a penguin trade, and it didn't. Now, if I was going to take this as a penguin trade, I'd jump in here. I'd probably have my stop there and out before the lows. Maybe not. That's probably a bit too much. Where's the next bit of liquidity? Here. So my guess is I would probably have my stop there, above there, and I wouldn't have quite got out there, would I? I don't think. I don't think I'd have got in early enough, and it does look like 2 attempts. But whether that move up there was to do with a bit of news, I don't know. I think it probably was, because we pulled back a bit and then it shot. So whether that was anything to do with the news or whether that was clearing liquidity, I don't really know, to be honest with you. So could that be a channel, or is it more like 2 legs? It could be a channel. It's still a bit early. Unless we get a move up here, but there is a small micro channel down there. So I'm going to move it just temporarily. Okay, breaking news. China's president and Trump agree to start a new round of talks ASAP. It's just popped up that 2 minutes ago. So whether that anything to do with that. There's a new round of talks, slightly positive, I suppose, and then a quick move up. Okay, let's bring this down here. I mean, it may just be kind of ranging. It's probably a bit early. But that may be the case. Let's try channel again. So there's nothing you can really do here. I wouldn't want to go lower high there. Are we chopping or are we going to continue up? It's hard to say at the moment. So second entry long. Trouble is, if this is a channel, we've only got so far up. So I wouldn't really want to get into a long trade here because I think that's risky. This is maybe a little bit rangy. So that second entry long all of a sudden now is looking a bit dicey. It's bound to go that, isn't it? Looks like it may be, mate. You may be right. Yeah. I mean, I've just put that as looking like it's pretty much ranging, isn't it? If I take that right, there is kind of a level there, isn't there? So yes, if you'd have taken that second entry long, triggered you, boom, stopped you out. I had this down here. It may be going a little bit sideways. Up, down. So you can't really take that really, that second entry long. And not only that, if this is a channel, we've only got up just above that midline and all of a sudden it's struggling, which tells me shift of momentum, or that may not be a channel, or we may just end up going a little bit sideways for a time. So let's bring that down a bit to about there. So maybe a little bit rangy at the moment, just here. Could be two legs up. Mind you, those two legs are quite tight. They're not broad enough for me to think they're definitely not a channel, so it's a tough one. We move up, 2 attempts to go lower. We have broke any liquidity there, but for me, it's just a little bit. What are we doing? Okay, let's see what's going on here. So just looking at this 10,000 tick chart quickly, we've got this leg down, possible 2 legs up, and then down some more. So we could, whether it would or not, is another matter. We could end up having something like that. 2 legs down, maybe clear out some of this area. It's just a thought, that's all. Whether it actually happens or not. 2 different things. So that channel looks like it's fitting. We've had 2 moves up. Now it didn't make an attempt, possibly a couple of attempts, so it may not do that, but we do seem to be finding a little bit of support here. So there is a possibility this thing could start to work down, but that is, call it more of an educated guess. Maybe a little range, fade to break out. I wouldn't do it. It's not ranging enough really for me. I want a few touches really. And not only that, that bull bar up there has triggered by a tick and it may be working down, but it may work. It's hard to say at the moment, but this just, you can see if you take that way, we're kind of using that as resistance and now it's kind of support. So maybe it is slowly grinding up. Who knows? Okay, let's see if this moves. So Thomas Wade has got that, so maybe it's not that bad. Doesn't look like the worst trade in the world, but maybe this is 2 attempts to go lower and it's going to push up, quite possibly. Hmm. What up there? Hello, Karina. I'm glad you're back. I'm sorry if I upset you yesterday. I didn't mean to. We were just, somebody mentioned it and we were just having a bit of fun, having a bit of a tease. So I'm sorry if I upset you. That wasn't my intention. But I am a man, so you have to forgive me. We do open our mouth sometimes. I will say that. So I'm glad you're back with us anyway. I said to my wife yesterday, I think I've upset Karina. So she gave me a telling off as well. He almost asked you for a divorce. But I was going to message you yesterday and said we've had our first on-screen domestic. Well, we all argue from time to time, so I don't know. Yeah, I think you sort of came over like you were in a bad mood, and I probably teased you a bit. I probably shouldn't have done. But you didn't say what you said. Now, it wasn't me. Someone else mentioned that, and then I said something. But yeah, I mean, it's in the UK. I mean, obviously people think different, but in the UK, sometimes if you know, I don't know, if your wife seems a bit grumpy, it's kind of a standard joke. Oh, it's the time of the month type thing. So that's it's kind of a British thing. It's kind of what we do sometimes, but. Yeah, not everybody sees it as funny, I suppose. So I am sorry if I upset you. I didn't. That wasn't my intention. Although I am prone to opening my big mouth sometimes. Too many mouths here. Lance. Yeah, I mean British are quite quiet typically, but we do open our mouths from time to time. we are guilty of that. And usually you're the first one in this morning and you weren't, so I thought I might have upset you. So I did just message Karina. I thought I'd do the honourable thing and say sorry. But yeah, well, we're only having a bit of fun and we're only probably teasing you. I know some people don't take it that way sometimes. So we've had our first, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah. We've had our first ever argument, on-screen argument. They call it domestic in the UK when couples have their first argument. So, yeah, we've had our first couples spat, shall we say. Let's have a look. What are we doing here? We're finding a triple test here. I don't like the way this market works today. It's not what I would call super predictable. It's kind of bouncing. Whenever it bounces at this angle, we get one down at this angle, one straight up and one this. It almost kind of looks like a bomb blast for me. If you ever see a sign of something explosive, it has one going out that way, one going up and one going this. I don't like it when it does that. It kind of is a bit unpredictable. We're shooting this way, we're going straight up, we're going this way. So it's a bit unpredictable here. My gut feeling 2 legs back will probably with this bar it would be pushing up, but it's just a bit congested there, so you don't know what's going on really. It's not a super easy day really. I mean, yesterday in comparison was an absolute doddle. I mean, you don't know it's going to be like this, but I think when we bounced this time here, I think it was pretty safe. I actually went, what I do is later in the evening, I'll go through my chart and kind of figure out what I missed and what I didn't take. And I actually, lately, the range bar hasn't been fantastic. It hasn't been any better than this, but yesterday was different. So if I did mark the chart and if I can find the damn thing. I did mark it. Let me have a look. Where are you? Is this it? No, probably not. Where's me? I can't find where I put it now. Ah, that might be it. Is that it? Was that yesterday's? Yes, it was. Okay, so yesterday's, let's just make that a bit smaller. Yesterday's chart. Really clean chart, I gotta say. I mean, the S&P 500 was just as clean, but the setups weren't as good, I don't think. So, I mean, if we start off here, we've got the channel here. We've got 2 legs down, second entry long. That worked as well. So one triple test, second entry short, and that worked nice. So we got a bit of an overshoot there. Clear bounce here. We came back and had another bounce. Second entry short, which kind of like a higher low or a failed second entry short, and then we got a higher low there. It's bound to be stops there, and there, and that just took off. We got a little bit above that previous high. There was a lower high there, and then there was a failure, second entry long, which failed. I like that as well. Same again, another nice bounce off the top. We got a channel down, 2 legs up, second entry short. That worked well as well. And off here again, channel break, 2 pushes to a new high, lower high, second entry long, failure, worked as well. Now, what I will say is, looking at these trades, that one came down, went a bit sideways, but worked. That one came down, went a bit sideways, but worked. And the same with that one. That one took off. So I'm guilty, and probably you may sort of understand this. The longer you're in a trade for, the weaker the position you think it is. I certainly do. If I'm in a trade for a couple of minutes, I think this is a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. And it's not always the case. A lot of Mark, they do go sideways from time. But the fact is, that was a clear failure, and it worked, and it came right the way down to the bottom. That one worked, came down plenty of points, and it came down again. That one eventually right to the bottom, that one right to the top. So just because they do take a little bit of heat sometimes doesn't mean they're a bad setup. But if I was going to take trades, I would take that one, I would take that one, I would take that one. I would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. Now, you don't see 5 setups on the ES. Some days you see a few, but I don't see 5. But this range chart was good yesterday. Now, I've found the 10 range bar you can get sometimes with this second entry shorts that fail. Whereas if you switch up to the 15, it looks much better. So the 12, I kind of like. So I've just been playing around with the 12 and the 15, and but I had that one. We had, at the time, we had 3 bounces, triple test, off the bottom. Then we had a higher low that worked. Then we had a second entry short failure, which took us right back to the main up. And that's what I took there. Clearly worked. So just because a trade takes a bit of heat doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad setup. But I tend to associate with that. It's just a bad habit I got into. The longer it takes, the more heat, the weaker the position you think it makes. Now there may be an element of truth with that, because if you see this triple test, like a lot of triple tests, no heat at all, woof, straight down. I mean, that thing came down. It never even, with a couple of ticks back on one, it just came straight down. So that came right the way down to there, 10 points, straight down. So obviously some of these certain setups, when they work well. But just because you get a setup and it takes a bit of time, I think sometimes if you take them in channels, they work a bit quicker. In ranges, they may take a little longer. That may be an observation. There may be some truth in that. It's tough to say, really, but who knows? Who knows? But we've got a triple test up here. At the moment, this is a little bit unpredictable. We may push up, 2 attempts to go lower, and then up again. So I'm just sitting tight here at the moment. That top bar there seems to me like it's actually within a channel. Yeah, it is. So I wouldn't take that anyway. Second entry, long failure, may do. But we may call this the overnight highs, and we may kind of be bouncing off it a little bit. It's tough to say. Now, when I've taken a trade, I hate giving money back. I'd rather lose a trade out the blue, first trade of the day, than win a trade and give it back. So I quite likely won't take another trade anyway, unless I saw something that looked like an absolute diamond. I certainly wouldn't take it. And now we have had a triple test, but I don't know. Is this a push up? 2 attempts to go lower and up we go. We've had a triple test at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, and it took off. So are we going to get on the same, or is this likely to go higher? My gut feeling after this and a couple of bounces, it's probably likely to go higher. Whether it does it now or whether it does it comes back again. But my gut feeling is it's probably going to go higher. We've had 2 legs up. We've had 2 attempts to go lower. Couldn't really get below VWAP and off it's going. So my gut feeling, I wouldn't take that anyway as a triple test. Still within that channel, that little uptrend. So nothing I can do there. Nothing I would do there, sorry. And up here, I don't like this stuff. It's a bit choppy. Now, whether it's ranging or whether it is just 2 pushes and eventually it'll move, your guess is as good as mine. So how long have we been going for? Hour and 40. I'm probably going to have a shorter day today, I think. It's peeing down in the UK today, certainly where I am. So we're definitely finding some support there. You may argue that's overnight highs. We're very close to it. So whether that's playing a part, I suppose what you could. There is a level across here. You can see where it's having a little bit of something. So you can see a bounce there and a few bounces there. So it may pop above this and then drop. It may not. It's hard to say, but I'm not taking that trade. I won't even take a lower high at the moment. Monday, I won't be trading. I have a dentist appointment at 2:30, I think. Let me have a look. It's the 9th, isn't it? Monday, I think it is. May not be. Oh, let me have a look. Yeah, Monday the 9th, which is a Monday. Yeah, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. So no trading for me on Monday. 2:30, 3:30. It's going to be 4 o'clock by the time I come back. So I might just take the day off anyway. I'm going to try and do that now and again. If I've got something that keeps me away from trading for a couple of hours, I might just take the day off. I want to try and start to have that disconnect. All I seem to do is think about trading morning, noon and night. I'm itching to get back on the computer. I want to try and have my trading session, then shut down them, go through my chart and then kind of shut off work for the day. It's very easy to get a bit obsessive, isn't it, with everything? You don't like going to the dentist. I don't mind them so much. I didn't used to like them when I was younger, but no, I don't mind. I just need I've just got a bit of a feeling I'm going to have in the back. This is GX levels. Market makers will be selling the delta hedges on their options. Straight over top, mate, there, Tony. So I did start watching last night. That Mobland, man, that's brutal. Tom Hardy plays a good part, but that's brutal. Helen Mirren plays an absolute psychopath. I'll say it's quite hard watching her play a part like that. So now we've got overnight highs here, and we've clearly got some support here. Sell options and therefore have exposure. They hedge that. Exactly. Yeah, I don't even understand how options work. Isn't it having the option to buy it in the future? I don't quite know. I've never really paid much. That's the trouble. When you're a retail trader, you kind of learn what you need, and you may pick bits up throughout your career, but I suppose if you work for the institutional side of it, you kind of know about a bit of everything, don't you? Advanced stuff, yeah. What I like about trading, Pat, is it's simple. And when I say simple, it takes time, but there's no, there's very little technical analysis done, really. We're just reading price and taking a small. I mean, the only indicator really we use is the EMA. The rest are just a series of lines, really. Nothing else, really. But price action is so accurate, it's unbelievable. Almost always when you get a channel, we'll get a break and a new high, or new extreme, as we call it, and the opposite in a downtrend. So it's a great way that when we get a channel, when we get a break, we know almost always it's going to push higher. So we look for a setup there. So price action it's so accurate, it's unbelievable. It really is. And the reason I think price action traders take losses is down to discipline. If you know how to read the market and you take solid trades, you'll lose very little. But you've obviously got to be disciplined enough to be able to filter out the rubbish. Daryl, how you doing, pal? What time is it now? So I'm going to give it 2 hours, I think, today, and then I'm going to knock it on the head, I think. I'm up nicely today, so everything's right with the world. So channel, possibly a break, new high. Is this looking like a range date? I feel it kind of is. Mr. Order Flow. I've had a look at him before. Is he a British guy? I know there is a British guy. There's a couple of British guys that do order flow, isn't there? Scottish, yeah, that's it, yeah. Somebody mentioned him a couple of months ago when I looked. Doesn't he trade? He trades like a... I mean, he doesn't have a chart at all, does he? It's complete order flow, isn't it? It's just a line, a bar of lines and with numbers. He trades very similar to the Canadian futures trader. He trades like that. It's just a complete mess. Let's have a look at the Canadian futures trader. I'm sure he trades like that. I don't get any of that. Yeah, he does, yeah. I don't get any of this. Yeah, that's the Canadian futures trader. You got to know what you're looking at there, haven't you? He does trade like him, really. That doesn't mean much to me. I don't know. I like to see pictures, not so much numbers. Mind you, I suppose it's probably more complicated than it looks, but it's understanding it, doesn't it? But it doesn't mean much to me. But he trades, doesn't he trade bonds or something? I think it aren't bonds. what am I thinking of? Isn't that national debt bonds? Is it or something? Is it debt bonds, or am I thinking of something else? Depth market time and sales. Yeah, it doesn't mean much to me. Yeah, I think bonds are. They are. Yeah, bonds. So you're kind of invested in national debt, aren't you? Yeah, you learn bits, don't you? I mean, the trouble is when I'm trading this, this is kind of all I kind of understand. But you do, I'm forever on YouTube, just I don't know, kind of expanding my knowledge of the markets in general, how they work, how people trade the markets. There's multiple different ways. It's like a minefield, isn't it? But I've been doing it long enough now to kind of know how things work. But there's still so much stuff out there, isn't there? Sometimes you hear people trade and they talk about this, they talk about that, and it's just straight over. Trouble is, you could spend a lifetime, couldn't you? So, when was the last time we were up here? It's been a while since we've been up this high, I think. Let's just have a quick squint at the daily. We're not a million miles from all-time highs. No, we're not. Yeah, this is the highest we've been since March. Definitely since March. But it just goes to show tariffs suspended, or when they sunk in a bit. Look how, things, recover quick. That's quite a sharp recovery. If you're a long-term position holder, great time to buy down here when there's kind of blood in the markets, because this isn't going to go on forever. But a great time to buy down here. Even if you're investing or whatever, and you've made, what's that, 10% or whatever it is, 10, 12% back pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be long. Well, what are we? A couple of 100 points away. We can soon shift that in a week, if that. Yeah, we're not far away from those all-time highs, are we? A couple of 100 points, give or take. We've moved 200 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've moved 200 points in a week. So I don't think it'll be long before we're up here, especially if things... What I do like is we've come back to the EMA a couple of times, so we may get a bit of free flowing now. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week we're at all-time highs again. So it does recover quick. It doesn't matter what you invest in, really. If there's bad news, there's always blood in the markets to a degree, but things do recover quickly. But there you go. So this now looks like a leg with a correction and a leg. So my guess is we're heading for these highs. Does kind of look like it's ranging, in all fairness. More or less what it did yesterday. That was the tightest, neatest looking range I've seen since I can't remember when. Look at that. That measured leg will take us right up to these highs. I haven't seen a range looking that neat and squared off in such a long time. Max says he loves trading these. He just shorts the top and buys the bottom. The trouble is, you don't know most of the time exactly where the top's going to finish, because they tend to finish in different places, whereas that's about as consistent as it gets. But you never quite know until it's done it 3-4 times, and then the day's more or less gone. Even when you have strong trending days, before you kind of realise and it's dawned on you that it's been strong, the move's already kind of been made. So I'm guessing we've got a leg up with a correction. I'll be shocked if we don't get up here. So that would literally take us right up to the top. So 2 legs up. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a break. Sometimes when we get to when we get close to the top, traders take profits, and that's slows things down. So it is going a bit sideways here, so we may get a break. It may go a bit higher before we get a break. Tried yesterday. Couldn't handle it emotionally. Yeah, it's weird how sometimes, I mean, was it Monday? I don't know what the hell was going on with me Monday, but I was all over the place. What I'm trying to do now is have 10 minutes of a bit of relaxing and maybe listen to some of those affirmations, trying to get me, I suppose like tennis players get themselves psyched up, don't they? Ready for a match. So I'm going to try and have just that little 10 or 15 minutes to try and mentally focus and get myself keyed up a little bit. Follow the rules. No setup, no trade. If I lose one or two trades, walk away or whatever. I mean, I've got software to shut that down, but I'm just trying to prepare myself. I don't think I've done enough preparation for trading. But you do hear a lot of traders saying that they do kind of mentally prepare, and I don't think it's a bad thing. If you spend 10 or 15 minutes, if it helps you get more successful, it's a small price to pay. You try at the bottom and the top. Yeah. It's trading shorts and longs off the top of trading ranges aren't my strong point. I know a lot of traders will take them off a bar. I tend to wait for a lower high or a failure because sometimes it'll give you a bearish bar, it'll trigger you, stop you straight out. If it triggers that and gives us a lower high, then I think there's an 80% chance at least that it's coming back to at least to the EMA. And obviously yesterday was a prime example of that. We had this channel up, we had a bearish bar there, it triggered and it looked like it was going to push up, and all of a sudden we had a matching high there with a lower high. What happens then? It works its way back to the EMA. Fortunately, there was a failure there. Same again, that one, you don't know whether it's going to trigger you, come lower, clear out any liquidity. What I like about that trade there is we broke below any liquidity there. My only issue I have is there is some there, so you don't know whether it's going to have a go, but when we pushed up, we had a second entry short and then a higher low. That failure for me was the better option, because second entry short and a triple test, that triple test triggers. I wouldn't take a short here because we bounced here, but that triple test short triggers, and look, so you can guess when that pushes up there, it's taken out. Stop. It didn't move as quick as I was expecting, as I thought it might do, but it just took off then. So, going short into the bottoms when we've already had a couple of good bounces and we've broken liquidity, for me, isn't probably the best idea. I love you. So, and also, a failure there, then a lower high, then another lower high, and it just worked beautifully. Same there. We got a bearish bar there, triggered, almost stopped it out exactly like that, made a matching high exactly like that, and then down we came. There was a failure there, second entry long, which failed, and down it came. So this was really clear. Same again. Second entry long, which triggered and failed, down again. It was about as good as it gets this yesterday. So there is a time where this works beautifully, but there are days where it doesn't. But if you've got this in your arsenal, and even if it gives you an extra 2 or 3 trades a week, that can dramatically change, your outlook. So, but that was a really nice, clean day yesterday. Not one of my favourite trading days, but if you are trading that range, the range bar, funnily, it's called range, and in a range, it actually works really well. So it's I'm not sure whether that's why they call it that or not, but in that range yesterday, it actually worked beautifully. So where are we going now? Coming up 2 hours. So I'm going to finish in a minute. 2 hours I think is enough for me today. I'm up nicely, so I'm going to revel in the fact that I've had a nice, good day today. Nice trade, worked well. So yeah, let's have a look. I've been looking at this actually, trade of 8. Obviously I've got this in case I need to clear anything off of that. Is a bit, there's so much information on there, isn't there? That's why I like Ninja Trader. It's just clean. Everything you need, but pay less than you don't, Marines or SEALs for this mentally, yeah, you do. It does help if you're up a trade. I'm up a trade, so I'm relaxed for the day. I've done what I need to do. I'm quite happy not taking another trade. So, it looks like this is where we're heading. I can't see any reason why we wouldn't. There's going to be bits of liquidity to pick off as we get up there. It was going sideways there. I did say we may get a break. I don't know whether I consider that a break. There may be a little spike in channel. Let's just move this over. That actually, to me, looks like it's fitting kind of nice. A little spike in channel, touching nice there and fitting nice there and here as well. So that kind of looks like more of a spike in channel, and Thomas Wade's got it the same as there as well. I think that's, when was this? Oh yeah, 3 minutes ago. So he's looking at the same sort of thing. He does stretch his out a bit, doesn't he? No, tell a lie, my mistake. He's got that. I want to say his looks a lot wider than mine. That's what he's looking at. How do I feel about that? Trouble is, we've only touched twice. That doesn't really say it's supposed to confirm 3 times to be a channel. So I actually think that is more like a channel with a correction and a break, and then another leg up, which is what we're getting. So I would say I prefer it my way. Dan's got the same thing as well. That's Dan's most recent chart. Yeah, he's got it the same. Push up, 2 legs back there and there, and up again. He hasn't put that into a channel yet. Whether he will or not, I don't know, but that was his most recent chart. So yeah, that looks a bit better. Wouldn't you widen the channel based on the distance? No, because to have a channel with pats, it's got to be confirmed 3 times. In other words, touch 3 times, and it hasn't really. It's gone from here. Now, you can point... it doesn't matter what something looks like. You can always connect 2 dots together. But I don't like it. It looks a bit odd. And you can't really confirm it as a channel until it's bounced 3 times, and it hasn't. That has, and that has. So that's kind of how I've been taught to do it. Touch, touch, touch. Then when we push up again off this 3rd time, confirming that channel, we only get to the highs, just above the highs, and then we struggle. And whenever we do that, often leads to a break, which we did. So it's kind of leg up, 2 legs back, and a second leg. And this is where I think this is more likely to go. So that's how I've got it. You can connect the tops, but form a wedge. Yeah, so as a Pats trader, someone else has got it there. This is kind of how we're taught to do it. He's got the same with a break, 2 legs up. I've put it as a channel. Whether it is, it's irrelevant anyway. I'm not in a rush to take a trade at the moment, but we've touched from a spike once, bunch of times there and there as well. You can see it's guiding up there, so I think that's okay. But if I move this channel to incorporate that, it's only really touched twice. You know what I mean? Now you may say that's touched twice there, but I like the fact that it's working along the bottom nice. So in fact, I could probably bring this down a fraction anyway. But it's fitting nice there, so that I think is not so bad. But that looks like a push up with a correction and then a push up again. It's hard to say. Some people might have it slightly different, but what would it look like on this chart? I don't think it'd even work on this chart. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? That looks okay there to me. And it's kind of fitting quite nice. But that looks like a correction, more like a penguin setup that, and then it took off. So that's what I would say. You know, if someone suggests something, I'll draw it. If I like it better, I'll keep it. If I don't, I'll keep what I originally had. So I'm always open-minded. If someone says that fits better, I'm happy to have a go at it. And if I think it does, you know, I'll swap it around. But I think you have to kind of use what you've learned and then do it your own way and kind of learn from it, you know. Walk away with tiny winnings, 1 loss, 2 wins. Yeah, if you can get a green day, it's positive. You know, I'm happy. I'm walking away at the moment. When I took that one trade, there was another trade here, which 2 nice legs up. Now I didn't like the bar there, but I liked the context. And on this chart, it looked nice. 2 legs up there, bearish bar. Now, if I wouldn't have taken a trade, I'd have taken that. We've also got a little bit of support across here. You can see it. You can see we bounced there. We've a little bit of resistance there and same again. So I think that would have worked. But because I've taken a trade, it's not what I would call an A+ trade, but I don't think it's far off. But when I've taken a trade and made a profit, it hurts me more to give that back than it does to lose a trade out the blue. So as soon as I took that trade, I was quite convinced I wasn't going to take another one unless I see something like we saw the other day, an absolute belter, perfect fitting channel with an absolute, you know, one of those which we don't see a lot. So, you know, I'm quite happy to talk away. You've taken 11 trades. But yeah, I mean, some people do more. Depends on how you trade. I think some people who do tight scalping, it does as well, doesn't he? What's his name? He'll take that many. Wrench Capital. He'll take a dozen plus in a setup. Got to say, when I first saw him doing these evaluations, I thought he's struggling, but he seems to be doing really well now. He takes lots of trade. He's in a trade every 5 minutes, he is. But he does well. So it depends on what you've learned, isn't it? I tell you, does have a massive following. Her Tanya trades. She'll have 20,000 views by the end of the. She has quite a few as well. But yeah, I mean, she'll have 20,000 views by the end of the day. She has a massive following ICT. Trade 3 different strategies, one of which is the 1 second. Yeah, you'll take a lot of trades with her. Yeah, there's no issues with that, taking more trades. I consider it as having maybe one main setup, one main strategy, and then adding extra strings to your bow. Absolutely. I think the more experience you get, the more you kind of open up and you learn a few things and you notice certain setups. But yeah, absolutely. Always good to have extra notches on your belt for sure. So a little bit sideways here. I still think that'll push up. I'm guessing there's going to be traders taking profits close to these tops, which may cause it to sort of stagnate a little bit. It's kind of plateauing a little bit there, isn't it? So maybe 1, 2, 3 triple test. Give traders something juicy to jump into. Just see if that. Yes, I mean, there is a possibility that you may not like that. What I will say is we've got that channel up with a break. 2 pushes to a new high, so maybe it's just sort of a couple of legs. Might be a channel break with a couple of legs. I think your eyes would spasm. Gives you a deeper. Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, second chart. That's a fast moving chart, isn't it? Okay, I'm done for the day, folks. I'm quite pleased the way today is. I got into a nice trade early. It worked okay. That was it there. If anybody didn't notice, at the time we'd had 3 bounces and there was a bullish bar off the bottom. It looked like there was a bit of an overshoot. I think I had this like that at the time, something like that, and there seemed to be a bit of an overshoot. Now at the time there was kind of, it looked like range bottoms. It looked like it may be ranging again. We had a bounce here, a higher low, and then a failure. So if you get a higher low and then a failure, chances are you're going to get back to that EMA. So I took that and it worked for 3 points. So I thought that was okay based on the not as good here. Where was it? It was it down here? Yeah, I don't think there was nothing really here, but here it was quite clear. We had a bullish bar, then a higher low, then a failure, and none of them got tackled. And what I will say is when we had that second entry short, it triggered and pushed right the way up. We're about 2 ticks off stopping that out there, so another reason to go long there I liked. And then up it went. Look at me. So I think if you went a tick above here, it went 4 and 3. So you got 4, depending on where you got in. Certainly 3 points for me. So if you got a tick above it, which is about there, so 3 1/4 for me. That's where I'd have to hit. So I think most of you guys probably average around 2 points, something like that. But there's plenty there. That's all I need for the day. So I'm quite pleased. I found it a bit tough lately at times. And I've had to sort of reel my patience back a bit and slow things down a bit. So there you go. I'm done for the day, folks. So best of luck to you. Hope you get a setup. Have a great day. Have a good evening. Stay safe. It is it Friday tomorrow? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's Friday tomorrow. Now, no trading for me Monday. I've got a dentist appointment in the afternoon, so it'll be Tuesday. I'll be back, but I'll be back tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe. Best of luck. And we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.